I have to do this. I have to try and raise it.
The bar isn't something that actually lowers, Mr. Cameron.
What have you been doing all these years?
Le who? The her.
Drinking. Yeah, a lot of drinking.
The bar has been lowered to depths we can't even fathom. If anyone can go down there and raise it back, it's me.
Are you still drinking?
No. I don't. That's behind me now. Why are you buying?
I'm an alcoholic.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Jesus, did I really set the bar that low?
Descending to 1,000 feet. I don't see the bar yet. Looks like it must have sunk pretty low.
Boy, that is... talk about setting the bar low.
How are you, buddy?
What's up, my friend? Bad boys. What
you gonna do? What you gonna? Was it Sanaka Saka make it? Yeah, and boy, it's starting off the summer season, man. This is a summer movie month. It's action packed. It's male led, and I love starting the summer off with a fresh, nice Pepsi Zero, buddy, with this Regal cup I got right here.
Oh man, Blue Collar Loser, tell me more about this.
Check out right here. It's also this fucking popcorn. I paid $2 for both of these. $2.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I spent over $27 at the film last night because I only have the standard Regal app. What do you have that I don't have?
Also, Lord Toxic, before I mention my wonderful app, did you know for the summer movie month and no bullshit, the kiosk popped up, any film before 1 p.m. is $7 because everyone's complaining about rising ticket prices and movie theaters are expensive. $7 for anything before 1 p.m. all summer long.
Is that for everybody or just for people with the Regal Unlimited?
I think people with the Regal Unlimited app, it's a great app. It's only $24.99 a month, and I love it. It saves me so much goddamn money because I'm broke.
That sounds like a good deal to me, especially in these hard times.
Yeah, it's sad when I go there. Woman's like, "Hey, Chris," I'm like, "How you doing?" She's like, yeah, you got you said you got like 150,000 points. You want to use some of your points today? So I was like, sure, I'll get a popcorn for free.
Why don't you give me some of your points? I spent almost $30 at the theater last night. Plus, I got you a poster. I talked to him giving me one of the posters for Deadpool versus Wolverine.
I gotcha. Yeah, and anybody watching this, the replay or live with us, thanks for hanging out. And of course, we always want to plan things out. But myself and Lord Toxic, we have full-time jobs, and usual. We try planning out our low bar reviews, but it doesn't always happen. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you're getting sponsored.
Yeah, our system is more of a like.
It's me begging. It's not sponsored. It's begging.
Yeah, we're begging for sponsors at this point. Are you hearing us, Regal app? We're doing everything we can for you to try to keep the theater experience alive.
Yep.
But no, our system is basically like
we just go live.
Chris and I are like friends in real life. So even though there's a huge there's a huge distance. I'll basically just say, "Hey, man, I'm getting off work early. I might go check out the Bad Boys thing. Do you want to go see it?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, I'll catch it." He has with his not only with his Regal app, which is only 24 and change a month, where he gets to see as many movies as he would like. He also has the pleasure of living in
that beautiful app I got. Say
a bigger state city. It is beautiful. It's lovely. It's lovely. And he has more access to theaters. I, unfortunately, am in a small town in the Midwest, so I am kind of a slave to showtimes and whatever the local theater, because I'm not driving to Kansas City to watch a movie. I'll drive to Kansas City to get drunk, but I'm not going all the way to Kansas City just to watch a movie.
You shouldn't talk about a film called Bad Boys and mention slavery. It's kind of big.
Touche. Anywho,
so yesterday, because we always have trouble planning stuff out. I did watch part 1, 2, and 3 with my kid last night. He's 17, and I'll say it, guys. I get some people that look at this point. We're talking about Bad Boys 4, all right? Which is funny. You think Bad Boys 4 would be Bad Boys for Life, but Bad Boys 3 was Bad Boys for Life. So this is Bad Boys Ride or Die. It's before we talk about this movie and our reaction. It's like me saying, should you go see Fast and Furious 10? If you didn't like 1 through 9, you're probably not going to like 10.
Right.
If you don't if you don't like Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3, you're not going to like Bad Boys 4. It's simple as that, guys. So I just in some quick factoids before I want to hear your opinion on the franchise. I remember way back when Will Smith was doing Fresh Prince, the first Bad Boys film was his first major breakout role. And
It was, it
yeah,
was, yeah.
and look, it's Bad Boys. The first, do you know what year the first Bad Boys came out?
1995.
Yes, I mean 1995. Jesus Christ, dude.
I know
They're-
we're getting old. Yeah, no, I was working at a I was working at a restaurant called Captain Hiram's on the river, and my job was basically to like set up the upper deck for parties and stuff like that during the day. It was a great summer job. It was probably the last good summer I had, really, if I'm being honest. And I remember listening on the radio, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence advertising the movie, and I'm like, what is this? This is going to be a joke? Because up to that point, they had just been like TV comedians. I'd watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Martin, and I'm like, these guys are going to try to be. And I remember seeing the preview for Bad Boys when I went and saw something else in 95 or late 94, which is great years for movies, by the way. And I remember people laughing at that in the audience, just going, what is it? When they did the slow-mo Michael Bay standing up. And
get a whole
big old ears. You know, and
the whole 360. That was before the Avengers, boys and girls.
Right. People were just laughing at this. Like, is this a joke? Is this gonna be like a parody movie, like like a Farrelly Brothers or something? So people didn't know what to make of it, and then they went like, I mean, it was still an action comedy for sure.
100%, yeah.
But people took it seriously. So
yeah, it's funny because it takes itself seriously while also having comedic elements. And I gotta say that again, Wes, this is 2024, and you're telling me there was a time, if you remember, we're younger, that two white guys would watch black actors like in Fresh Prince or Martin. It seems so unheard of because, according to social media, guys like us don't watch films like these because we're not represented when we go.
Well, back in 95, they didn't have social media. It was just word of mouth, and it was just whatever.
That's what kills me. And funny part, I'll tell people, I was texting everybody that I go see Bad Boys 4, and actually my theater, and I caught a noon showing on a Saturday. I'm looking around. It was about, I'd say, 75% sold out or whatever. Sold. And looking in front of me, in the row in front, looking over, and they got like an older couple. I swear they could have been my grandparents. Older white couple, and they're there, and they're laughing their ass off, having a great time. And like an older white couple, like in her 80s, watching a Bad Boys movie. So the beauty of cinemas in movie theaters, guys, it should bring all of us together. Because trust me, I'd say an older couple in their like 70s, 80s are not what you would call the target audience for this movie.
No. I honestly couldn't see because it was dark.
Yeah.
But my theater was pretty full, and it was it wasn't the main showing of the night. Although I guess you could make an argument that I went and saw it at 8 o'clock. So but it was pretty full, and there was a good response. I think I was laughing harder at some of the jokes than a lot of the other people were. But I mean, we'll get to that, as far as that goes. But I've always been hit or miss with the Bad Boys franchise. It's always been, it's always, I like one and I don't like another, or I like, I don't like one and everybody else likes the other one. It's really been kind of up or down. And I like the TV show too, for the record. I thought the TV show was perfectly fine. It wasn't great, but it wasn't a bad show by any means. It certainly didn't deserve the Netflix cancellation curse. But anyway, go ahead.
Also, guys, I mean, we're only 9 minutes into the stream here. Listen, when it comes to Bad Boys and Bad Boys 4, if you are watching, we're going to spoil the fuck out of this film because, listen, you're not watching Bad Boys for the plot. I'm sorry. Let's just be honest. So we will talk about spoilers. But before I get on to, part 4, so like as I'm showing here, part 1, 19 million, which, 1995, Michael Bay was still a newer director. And 19 million is a pretty decent budget for 1995, but the box office was 141. So you figure 20 million, almost 150 million. So that's 7 times its budget. That's fucking impressive, for especially back then.
Okay.
And of course now they waited 10 years. 8 years, sorry, for Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2, look at the budget, went from 20 million to fucking 130 million for the sequel. And
people were really Bad Boys 2 was one of those that they didn't think was going to come out at the time. Bad Boys 2 was one of those in development for a really long time. I used to subscribe to a movie magazine called Cinescape, and they were like, I can remember many times them talking about upcoming, it was one of those ones that stayed on the list of in development hell for a really really long time.
Well, you can tell. in the box office, okay, obviously having a way bigger fucking budget, 130 to a box office of 273. So it made money, but nowhere near a success technically of the first film. But it didn't bomb by any means; just didn't do as good. And of course, and that was, remember, 2003. So we thought that was the end of Mike and Marcus, and lo and behold, 2003, we get into 2020, which is the biggest gap, man. Fucking 17 years. We finally get fucking
crazy.
Bad Boys 3. And I was like, I can't believe these two actors and these two characters after 17 fucking years. But the budget is so 90 million, which is funny because after 17 years, you think the budget would quadrupled. The actually budget went down for part 3.
Yeah.
And we see the box office. But part 3, so it came out, it did pretty though. Look at this. Part 3 did fucking 426 million.
And that's during the pandemic.
And that's in this case during 2020. So out of all three Bad Boys films, the most successful in the franchise. So you can understand why it's why are we getting Bad Boys 4? We'll look at the fucking numbers.
Just out of curiosity, when in 2020 did that get released?
I will find out for you right now. Let's see.
Because that's an interesting, because it wasn't, COVID didn't ramp up in a high gear until I think March.
January 17.
So they just beat COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually makes a lot more sense. And they came out during the time when not a lot of, it's that time when there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now the budget reportedly on Bad Boys 4 is 100 million, which, now Bad Boys 3 was 4 years ago. Adding 10 million to the budget is pretty impressive considering, plus where everyone's used to hearing these big fucking Disney, Marvel, whatever numbers. 100 million considering for an action film is pretty, I'd say pretty standard, in 2024. So yeah. The Bad Boys franchise, and it's also curious that, so after a 17-year hiatus, they wait 4 years to bring back part 4, which makes sense because let's be honest, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence aren't getting any fucking younger.
Yeah.
I always hey Alicia, how you doing? I always show the worldwide numbers because you get domestic and worldwide. I go by Google, when it says the budget right here, sorry, budget box office. Just because I know people say sometimes domestic and let's see. Box office domestic and worldwide. I figure because studios always count the they always count the fucking worldwide numbers right here. So it's for Bad Boys 3 we have here. And why is it 10 not shared for? Yeah, so it's worldwide numbers. Anything? So any other stuff you want to add to that, Wes?
So the way that obviously I saw Bad Boys 2 when it came out. I saw that in the theater. I saw Bad Boys 1 in the theater. I was very surprised. I didn't really think that much of it. Michael Bay, and Don Simpson and Bruckheimer were all kind of getting really big in the mid 90s, and I thought of all those movies, that was probably the least that I really cared that much about. Although I will say this, the following year when it was on cable everywhere and it was on DVD and stuff like that all the time, it was extremely quotable. People would be quoting it at work. I had a partner in the military who named Kenny, and he and I used to quote it at each other all the time as far as that goes. And then when part 2 came out, I saw that and I was really blown away by part 2. I was like, man, they really figured this out. The action was great. The story was good. The bad guy was great. I had a really good time with part 2, and kind of like the Hot Fuzz guys, I've seen it like a million times. So it's real. I really didn't think they were going to do anything else with it after 2003. And then when I heard in 2019 that they were coming out with Bad Boys 3, I was like, what, really? And I kind of understood the premise. I didn't watch it until very recently, until kind of when I had the idea to go see Bad Boys 4. I was like, well, you know what?
Yeah.
I have it on Plex. Let me go watch it. And I cranked it on, and I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a very interesting premise. Definitely weaker than the other two, for sure. But it had some good points, which we'll get into, because like this one here, the 4 is, I think, like a direct sequel to, even though there's been like a 4-year time gap.
I wanted to bring that up. Yeah.
This is like a very, very direct sequel. So,
Yeah.
but I don't want to step on your toes, so I'll let you
No.
describe.
Well, and like people said,
plot.
if you're watching, well, right here, you mentioned the pandemic. So according to Google, it said, yeah, 2020, it was the highest grossing film of the year after theaters shut down because of the pandemic.
Yeah, so they
So
kind of
t-
had an edge on everybody else during
Yeah,
that time.
definitely. Yeah, like you said, this is technically speaking, part 4 would be the first continuation in a franchise, because if you watch like you can watch part 3 without watching the first 2. You can watch part 2 without watching part 1. So they're basically like side stories, just side missions with these characters. This is a direct sequel to Bad Boys 3. Which takes a couple years later. And I said, people, if you want to watch the Bad Boys franchise, what are they? Okay, the plot. Part 1 is very simple. Character dies. We have Tay Leone, and I would say they always go by the decade. Like, you know, what Scarface was the 80s with a lot of coke. You know, 90s was heroin, and that's like they're a big heroin bust. They take down heroin dealers.
Yeah.
And if you look at Bad Boys 2, what's Bad Boys 2 about? Ecstasy. Why?
Yeah.
2003, ecstasy was over the goddamn place.
Yeah.
And then say, what would you say the plot of part 3 is about? I think part 3 was pretty interesting. We're seeing Will Smith. That
I think it was more like it was like introducing like the cartel. As far as you know, that being a thing. You know, they sort of hinted at it. Part 2 had a big, you know, post 9/11 vibe to it. And then part 3 was, you know, the cartel and the repercussions of the government kind of making friends with the cartel in order to keep the border safe. And that's which, I mean, it's kind of topical, really.
I'm not gonna show a lot of clips, but like people, if they want to see the tone of what the Bad Boys franchise, I remember, like you said, for me, going to see this sold out when this came out in 2003. This scene right here, it's only gonna play 5 seconds. Even my kid yesterday laughing his ass off, but like this is the kind of comedy that you'd get from the Bad Boys franchise. And Martin Lawrence is fucking hilarious. He always has been. But remember this scene?
My ass still hurts from what you did to it the other night.
Oh, my Lord.
Hey, it got rough.
Yeah. That entire fucking
It's rough.
Yep. And also, so we do have recurring and returning characters for Bad Boys 4. And anybody spoilers this point, how do you say his last name? Joe Pantoliano?
Pantaleona?
There we go.
Or Joey Pants, as he's called in the business.
I keep hearing more people call him Joey Pants.
Yeah, Joey. Well, because his name's like Italian unpronounceable.
Yeah.
So,
But
most people call him Joey Pants, the
captain.
Captain Howard.
The captain dies in part 3, man.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
I was really it did give the story kind of teeth. It made it so it wasn't just a standard what do you call it? It wasn't just a standard, you know, shoot 'em up where they actually had like something happen, and this guy that we've grown to love, he's the typical angry captain that's like totally
100%.
flabbergasted by the detective, or in this case, the two detectives, and is always yelling at him, but actually loves him, but is always blowing his top. Yeah, Wusa. I mean, he had some of the best lines, and then even like his more, yeah, he's always, hey Marcus, it's Mike. Hey, how can we fuck up the captain's day today? That's one that like when we used to get yelled at when I was an MP, me and my partner would just mock that when our lieutenant would yell at us, be like, do that line. But yeah, and then the whole you know, the more you guys fuck up, the more we look like rock stars, baby. You know, it's like both of those movies, just very, very quotable lines. I think that 3 and 4 kind of lose that a little bit.
I would say so. Yeah.
Nothing really stands out to me with that. Maybe I'd need more rewatches, and I am planning on rewatching 3 tonight because there's a couple plot holes or perceived plot holes from 4 that I wanted to look at and see, like, did they fix this? And I'm pretty interested in the kid that plays Mike's bastard son. So
this is one more scene because we do get returning characters, and you mentioned his wife. I know it's his wife in a second, but this right here, this guy came in Bad Boys 2, Reggie, and Reggie comes back for Bad Boys 3, and boys, he come back in Bad Boys 4. But
yes, he does.
You take on Megan. How old are you? I'm 15, Mr. Bennett.
Motherfucker, you look 30.
Fucking Mike was like, remember Mike? He's like, oh man, I got my gun. He's like, how you doing, boy? He's like, yeah, how you doing, sir? You ever have sex with a man? He's like, no. You want to?
Well, they have that great line where he says, can you fight? And he says, yes, sir. Oh, you think you could fight? Oh, you think you could fight? I'm not going to repeat all the dialogue, hence we don't get canceled.
Yeah,
But
I show a little clip first here.
we-
Yeah, this is my favorite fucking scene in the movie.
Here to take your thought out.
What's your name?
Reggie.
Well, no, I heard the motherfucker say your name, Reggie. You taking Megan out? How old is you?
15.
Shit, nigga, you at least 30.
Love that shit. Yeah. But-
So we find out for sure in Bad Boys 4 that Reggie can indeed fight.
Reggie, he came back. He came a long way. So yeah, so Bad Boys 3, the premise is we find out that Mike Lowry, it's two parts because Marcus, after part 2, is always wanting to retire. He's getting too old for this shit. He's almost like the Danny Glover character, also being comedic. But he wants to retire. He's becoming a grandfather. Mike is 50, and I do like the point where Mike is a cliche. I mean, it started in 1995. Mike's the fucking hot shot. He's a gung ho person. He doesn't want to slow down.
Trigger Mike.
Oh yeah, and to his credit, Will Smith at 50 years old, still better shape than most people at 50. He still got it, but he's still stuck in the past. And I did like that aspect. But watching part 3 again is that Will Smith, he doesn't want to retire. This is what he does. He's like, I mean, I'm gonna be shooting guns blazing until I'm fucking 100.
Right.
And Mark's like, he's like, Mike, we can't do this shit. Well, I can't do this shit much more. And if you watch the first 2 films, Marcus can do action scenes, but let's be honest, Will Smith carries like 95% of the action scenes. That's just how it is. Marcus is there for the comedic. And we do find out that Will Smith, and there are small hints here and there about family getting older, and coming to find out Mike had a bastard son.
Yeah, that was kind of out of left field. What did you think about that with Bad Boys 3?
I did appreciate the fact that how his son, it was okay. I mean, it felt like, I mean, you can definitely see the foreshadowing because Marcus, Marcus has a family, Marcus has a wife, and he's like, Mike, that's the point. We're getting older. It's like, dude, he's like, what do you have to show for your life? He's like, your entire legacy can't be just guns blazing. And guns blazing, he's like, you're 50 years old. At one point, he makes a joke like, Mike, you're starting to dye your goatee. Wait, I ain't dyeing my goatee. He's like, no, I'm seeing grays in your goatee, bro. Like, Mike is still stuck in the fucking 90s. I still respect Mike as a character because not everybody wants to change. Mike doesn't want to change. He can't. But Marcus wants to evolve.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus was always kind of, even in the first movie, he was kind of, I mean, they make a joke when he's driving Tay Leone to safety. They make a joke and she's like, oh my God, there's a baby seat in the back seat. We're going to die. So, Marcus was always kind of that way, 1 foot kind of out the door. Whereas, Mike is, Will Smith's character is kind of always running and gunning. But one of the main things that they do show is, they're showing that the characters age. So I don't know if they're going to go any farther with this franchise. I kind of hope they don't, really, because it is getting a little ludicrous. It was giving very, it was giving vibes of Fast and Furious franchise, because once upon a time that was just like a one-off movie with like a side sequel and stuff like that. But then now it's turned into this monolith where they have like 10 or 11 movies or something like that, and they don't show any signs of stopping. I'm hoping they don't go that direction. And I have a bad feeling they probably will. But what they do have on those, the characters in Fast and Furious seem almost ageless. They just keep like reinserting other characters and reusing other characters, even ones that pass away, they bring back, except for the people that pass away in real life, R.I.P. Paul Walker. Yeah. But with this one, they definitely show the transition of age. Like Will Smith's character Mike having to dye his goatee, and Marcus having a heart attack at the wedding, and things, getting too fat, things like that would actually be. Although one thing that they did really good with the first movie, they didn't do with the second one. In the first movie, I think they're just detectives, but in the second movie, they're detective sergeants, and they don't seem to have risen in the ranks at all. And after 20-something years, you'd think they were like lieutenants, or maybe not captains because all the shit they caused, but at least lieutenants or something like that. And they don't seem to have progressed. That's not very logical. They did make a side comment about the two Hispanic detectives they work with in the first one became private detectives, and then were subsequently killed. So that's something that is more believable. These guys just being, detectives running the streets after all that time, that's not really super believable.
Now I'm not sure how sure this is because you did mention this, and it's not a big issue. But yes, we have right here Marcus's wife, Teresa Randall, is her name.
Yeah,
And
Teresa Randall. Yeah, it's a big deal to me.
well,
I remember.
because it
seeing
depends
the
how you
first
look at
movie.
it.
I've had a crush on her since I was like 16.
Yeah, a very beautiful
And,
woman, and she
I-
she looks fine in all 3 films. She's a
Yeah,
sexy woman.
I saw her. I saw her appear, and I was like, I remember thinking in the first Bad Boys film, this is the most unbelievable part of the movie is the fact that Marcus could get a fine ass woman like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she gets swapped out for part
Yeah.
4.
I'm reading here in Google, like people, of course, ask the question, what happened? Apparently, she is having or has had like a lot of health problems. I guess she's been seen in public. She's been like in a walker and having trouble walking. Like not like a lot of details, but like they won't release the official statement. But of course, it's just
she probably got lupus or something.
I tell people, listen, if you get mad at me, I have Google as much as you guys do. I'm just typing in like Bad Boys 4. Why did they replace Marcus's wife? I'm just I'm popping up whatever articles I can find on Google.
Well,
so.
I'm glad it wasn't like a business dispute where she asked for money and they wouldn't give it to her or something like that. But I mean, at the same time, hey, prayers. I hope her health improves.
Yeah, like you said, even from Screen Rant, Bad Boys 4 is breaking the franchise's 29-year history, casting a different character for his wife. But
oh, that's a shame.
But yeah, so yeah, the premise of part 3 was basically Mike's son kills the captain. He kills Captain Howard.
Among other people.
But and basically the premise of Bad Boys 3 was and he had his mother was a witch. This freaking Haitian witch or something.
like a bruja. Yeah, that's like a big thing down in that area. She's like a bruja type witch. She's going to take over that aspect of the cartel. That's actually based on real life events. They actually do have a chick that I don't know her name, but she actually is one of the only female cartel leaders. So yeah, they had her. I didn't think she was a great villain. I thought the son was much better.
I agree with that one. I did
like
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, see, I did like the son had some kick-ass fight scenes in part 3.
He's great. He's great. Jacob Scipio, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Bad Boys.
But he plays Armando Aretas.
I can't pretend to say that name, so I'm going with Jacob.
Yeah.
Yep.
Armando. Just call him Armando.
Yeah.
So Armando goes, at the mom's behest on like a revenge thing. And he's Mike's illegitimate son. He actually shoots Mike, flubs the hit, but manages to take out several other people, including Captain Howard. Making the third act of Bad Boys 3 kind of a revenge thing. And then, spoilers, he doesn't wind up actually killing him, and they have kind of a Marvel after credits scene where Mike visits him in lockup and says, hey, do you want to knock off some of your time? Now, whether or not that was alluding to 4 or not, that's why I said I have to rewatch 3, because the after credit scene in part 3 doesn't really line up with the beginning of part 4. So I'm trying to figure out if that's supposed to be 2 different things or what.
Yeah, it was just basically him visiting his son, because you can tell whenever they make a 4th film that his son would come back, and he does. But him saying, I could try to find a way to reduce your sentence. And he does play on that card in the 4th film. All right. So yeah, that's basically the history of the franchise. I'll show this right here because it's a trailer, just basically 5 seconds of the trailer for you, Wes. But this is the opening 2 minutes of Bad Boys 4 is right here. And it just, again, you see, and I don't want to bust balls because we have to, but Martin Lawrence, I would say for part 3, he was pretty chubby in part 3. Call it out, man. Part 4, I swear he did slim down a bit for part 4.
A little bit. He did slim a little bit.
I mean, he's got some weight, but he definitely, you can see his face, his face trimmed down. But the opening of fucking Bad Boys 4 is right here, this scene.
Ginger ale and nothing else.
Are those dogs fresh? Put them in yesterday. Give me one. Put some relish on that motherfucker.
That's it. That's the opening of Bad Boys 4, and we already see where we're starting with this franchise.
Right. A callback to the scene they have in the first movie where the store owners think they're getting robbed, so they wind up in like a little bit of a mini standoff.
Yep, exactly. And like I said, I guess we're getting the spoilers because, again, guys, you don't really care about the story, but what is the plot of Bad Boys 4? Because everyone knows Captain Howard died in part 3. There's a super secret criminal organization who is framing his good name. They're saying Captain Howard was corrupt. He was smuggling with the cartel. and we are getting callbacks into part 3. So like you're saying,
Yeah.
this is direct sequel to part 3, and we guys in the trailers, if you watched it, Joe Pants. God, I'm not going to say his fucking last name.
Joey Pants. Yeah.
Even
Joey
though,
Pants.
even though he passed away, just because someone passed away doesn't mean they didn't film. There couldn't be some leftover footage he left for the bad boys here. Oh, also,
Yeah.
Mike is getting married too. I forgot.
Right. Yeah. So it breaks down like this. So after the wedding, Mike Lowry and Christine, who is supposedly a character that that's the reason I got to watch part 3. She's the doctor that worked on Mike while he was shot up in part 3, or she was his physical therapist anyway. So this is a long running joke of Mike having relations with his therapist. But this one he actually marries. Mike and Marcus investigate corruption within the Miami Police Department, specifically how it pertains to the late Captain Conrad Howard, played by Joey Pants. He's being posthumously, meaning after his death, accused of being involved with drug cartels. Mike and Marcus ask Armando Aretes, Mike's illegitimate son, who had actually murdered Howard, and he tells them that he is positive Howard was not corrupt and not in league with the cartel, and that he could identify the man that ordered the hit. Howard subsequently had left clues behind in the case of his death, and they want Armando to help them run him down and find the mystery man that ordered the hit that happened in part 3, which they assumed was the mom, but apparently there was an added hit that was put in there. While they transfer Armando to Miami on a helicopter, Mike and Marcus are set up in the process. And even though they survive the attack and the subsequent crash, they become fugitives by the police and the U.S. Marshals. And coincidentally, it is one of the U.S. Marshals, one of the head U.S. Marshals, is the daughter of Captain Howard.
Yeah.
And on not only that, now that they're on the run, they don't have the protection of the Miami PD. All of their enemies and criminals are going after them with I think, what was it, like a $5 million bounty on their head or something like that?
Yes. Also, Captain, what did I say Captain's last name again? Miller?
Howard?
Howard, Jesus. Howard? Yeah, his daughter is actually from Rhea Seehorn. If everybody watched Better Call Saul.
I thought she looked familiar.
Yep.
I thought she looked. They made a bad call with that one. I'm not going to lie.
That was that was.
I'll get more in it. You want to take up the plot from there, or
we'll see. So I'll show it right here from YouTube. So yeah, here's Captain, talking to the boys.
No, he's not, Marcus. If he's seeing this, I'm probably dead.
There you go. Oh yeah, hold on.
Fuckers, fuck them all.
Joey Pants, man.
Even in death, he's an asshole.
Even in death, he's still fuck.
And and also to the comedic timing of Marcus, we do see what during Mike's his wedding ceremony, Marcus has a heart attack, which of course it's like you expected Marcus not to die. I thought the heart attack sequence was actually pretty goddamn good. Like you're saying, this one seems a lot less. There's definitely comedy in this film, but compared to the first two, this is a lot less comedic. There is comedy there, but it's like a lot of serious scenes, probably because of their age too. When he has his heart attack, that's a very good sequence, actually.
The heart attack thing is like really whimsical. It almost pulls you out of the movie and puts you in another movie.
Yeah,
he has this out of body experience.
Yep.
He confers with the captain who's dead, and after the after effects of it, like for the rest of the movie, Marcus is almost like a different character.
Yeah, well, because Marcus, and if you're watching this, Marcus, he's always been the practical one, the kind of guy like he would go into a fight if he has to, because he's scared and he's cautious, got a family. After his heart attack, he's like, you know what? I'm invincible. I can't die.
Yeah. He's doing weirdo shit like standing naked on the top of the hospital on a ledge. He's walking around in traffic.
Yes. He's a complete fucking nutcase, and it's adding to the comedy where he keeps thinking he can't die, and he's putting himself in situations where he should be dead, but he's not dying. And you're like, fucking Mike is like Mike is trying to constantly stop him.
It's almost like a role reversal. Mike becomes the level-headed one, almost to the point, and they make I don't know how well this is going to be received, but Mike starts to become what do you call it? Apprehensive about stuff. He starts to have like mini panic attacks. So the invincible trigger Mike, now that he's married and now that his age is catching up with him in the events of the last film, he's not as running into bullets as he once was.
No, he's definitely more reserved than previous films because well, now that he's, he just seen his best friend have a heart attack. Also, he's married now and he's starting to like reflect in his life. The guy's been, they've been partners for 25 years at this point. They've been friends their entire life, but being 25 years, in this industry, this business, it's like now it's fine. It's like almost like, yeah, Mike's finally starting to hit the level where Marcus has been at the past 2 films. Like, oh yeah, now because he sees Marcus doing what he's been doing to Marcus for the past fucking 3 movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get he came back. Came back. Everyone knows the original Mr. Fantastic, Ian Grafond. He's saying that's his name, but he's a new character. He's
Just say Mr. Fantastic. Yeah.
There we go. Not Pedro Pascal. This is our Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But he's a new character. And yeah, like you're saying, we have, every film has to have a bad guy. Do you recognize this actor right here named Eric Danes? I first did not recognize this guy.
He's the dad. He's the dad from Euphoria.
Okay. See, I knew him from this show called The Last Ship. He plays The Last Ship is on TNC.
I'm aware of that show. I've never really seen it, but he plays the corrupt dad in Euphoria. Yeah. He's pretty famous on TikTok because he has a really funny line in Euphoria. But
he's our main bad guy. Yeah, because every bad boy's film is a bad guy.
Yeah, he's the main henchman really to the upper bad guy. They kind of follow along that thing of having instead of just having a main bad guy, they have the main bad guy, and then they have the main bad guy's hammer. Yep. So he's basically the main bad guy's hammer, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, and he doesn't like, I would say he's got some character development, but I mean, for what this film is, not a lot of character development. All we get is one scene where Mike's wife looks at him, his hand is all fucked up, and she goes, "What happened to you?" And you probably know this as a military guy. He said what do they call that technique where they rip off all your fingernails? He's got no fingernails. It's called a Colombian manicure.
There you go. He says that line. So he goes, "It's the most painful thing a person can experience." I was like, damn.
Yes.
And that's basically, like every Bad Boys film, we got the obligatory 360 shot with Marcus and Mike, and at some point he has to go rescue his son in a sense. And the big twist in this film for the first time is that every Bad Boys film, if you watch all 3, it's damn sure the second one. Remember when his sister gets kidnapped and like everyone there, the captain, FBI, off the books, we're gonna help you the fuck out, and he's sending like 20 guys to go get his sister. Even in part 3, they always have friends. This is the first time where now they're on the run. You got the FBI, the DEA, fucking Homeland. Everybody's coming after Mike and Marcus.
Yeah.
So they have to go basically take out the bad guys, but also, and then like you said, there's also a fucking bounty put on them, a $5 million bounty. So every gang in Miami is coming after these 2, plus Mike's his bastard son, and that's all they got. They have no resources. They're like outmanned, outgunned. You have everyone coming at them, and that's basically like I'd say second half of the film is just action scene on the run, action scene on the run. It's not really complicated plot because it's just those 2 clearing the name of Captain Howard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. I think they kind of they don't really give the plot a lot of time to settle. It turns into this, it jumps from, hey, we're getting a little too old for this shit. Hey, Marcus is sick, to hey, this is our new life now, to hey, Captain Howard's being framed, to let's bring in the son. And then the son releases some, retconning of what happened in part 3. And it basically, and again, that's why I say I got to rewatch part 3 because I need to see how bad the plot hole is with that. And then, it turns into almost, a fugitive type thing, but they never really give any of that any time to breathe. They kind of like mash it all together. And I got to tell you, what is her name? The chick from Better Call Saul that plays the daughter. The U.S. Marshal.
Rhea Sorhan or Seahorn.
She does not. This was a bad call. They should have just got some generic actress to play her. I don't know if they called in a favor to get her because she's kind of more of a name because she was on Better Call Saul, or maybe she just wanted to do it. I don't know. But she did not look comfortable holding a weapon. Yeah. She did not come off as like a female U.S. Marshal in charge of a tactical retrieval team. Like that did that did not look right.
Yeah, because she's pissed off because, even though it's, what was that? Because her father was a Captain Howard. And at one point she tells Mike, she's like, yeah, your bastard son's what my father's dead for. And she's really mad about that. And of course, it's an action film, guys. It's Bad Boys. You can see the writing on the wall where eventually, which, I mean, we'll get into spoilers now. But, I mean, every Bad Boys film, the third act is just a big action sequence. It's 15, 20 minutes of action shooting, over the top bullshit. At one point, there's an alligator pops up, but you can tell something's going to happen with Mike's son. And Mike's son has like a small redeeming arc where he winds up saving Captain Howard's granddaughter. And that's her daughter. So she doesn't want to kill him because she's like, at one point, her daughter, like, and I was thinking that Mike's son may actually die because his son took a lot of fucking damage. Like, he's getting stabbed in the chest, stabbed in the fucking neck, stabbed in the shoulder, and he's still limping. And he's like, just go without me. And Captain Howard's granddaughter picks him up. She's like, what, like fucking 14 or 15?
Yeah.
And at the end there, it's like, was it? Mike's son is basically leaning up against a tree, and Mom, don't kill him because he saved my life. And she wants to kill him, but she's like, I'll let him go. It's not a complicated character arc. And Mike and his son, they have what, maybe 2 or 3 scenes. Like, it's for comedic timing, but Mike is trying to kind of be a better dad, but Mark is like, tell your son you care about him, you love him. At one point, his son's like, you're like, you two are being little bitches.
Yeah. I mean, he's exactly what you would think. Mike Lowry's bastard son with a drug cartel leader would be. You know what I mean? Like, he's exactly what, he's dangerous. He's good looking. He's fast, and he makes rash decisions. But he's also, I mean, I gotta tell you, man, he's pretty fucking badass. I thought the scenes that he was in, especially when Mike starts to falter a little bit and he has to carry more of the weight. I thought they were pretty good. I liked him. I don't know if they're setting him up to like carry on the franchise or something like that. I don't know how that would work exactly.
Yeah, he has one. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay.
He has one action scene in prison that's pretty fucking badass. I started getting like Banshee vibes. I swear, I thought about fucking Banshee.
It was quite. I was like, well, number one, this is why in the Florida correctional system they don't let us have weights. For exactly the reason.
Yeah, people don't understand. Having a kettlebell is a fucking weapon, guys.
Yeah.
and a 45-pound plate can murder a grown man. Trust me,
for sure. Like, he does some serious work in the prison scene when they put a hit out on him. So yeah, man, there's a lot of little vignettes like that part 3 did not have. There's a lot of small scenes in this movie that they have a great scene with the returning characters from the AMO strike team, the AMMO strike team. They come back, and now two
of them do, which is where it's not all of them came back.
No, not all of them came back. Just the 2 that are, but they make it, because obviously it's Vanessa Hudgens and the big white dude, and they're an item. So they decide that, and it's good. You want your female strong character, and you want your technical guy, the guy in the chair that's gonna,
And the guy in the chair, even though he's like disturbingly buff for a guy in a chair.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not as crazy as you might.
Well, that's why it's so funny for, because the guy should be a fucking fat nerd, and dude's like jacked and shit. Like, and he's such a fucking geek.
That's pretty common, actually. But Vanessa Hudgens and Alexander Ludwig. Well, okay, I can at least pronounce names.
I pulled this up for you from Bad Boys 3, just like a 5-second shot, but like this is basically his character in part 4.
You talking about the son?
The son, yeah, but right here, that's him in part 4. He just said he's got some kick-ass fight
part
scenes.
3. That's part 3.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what you're seeing. I'm not going to show the footage from part 4, but like, that's what you're seeing in part 4. He's got the same fights. The guy is fucking quick as hell, man. Take one for the team.
It actually wasn't bad, Adam Gray. It's actually not a bad movie.
Yeah, Adam, because I mean, it's just like I said, if you didn't like 1, 2, and 3, you're not gonna like this one.
Right.
It's more the same. It's a buddy cop film, action comedy, a paper fucking thin plot, and I guess so we can really talk about more West in terms of the plot, because what do you guys think happens? Marcus and Mike win the day. They clear Captain Howard's name. Everybody's happy. It's a Bad Boys film. You're not going to expect a dark ending,
Right.
I think the only thing I would ask you is that, because of what this franchise is, you're going into Bad Boys for 2 things: action and comedy. That's it.
Right.
Says, how the fuck do you come out with called Bad Boys with a sim that lets kids buddy fuck his wife that lead? Jesus.
Yikes.
Yeah, no. Well, I know we can actually get into that a little bit, but like, I mean, what is your still take? Like, look, Will Smith, I'm at the point, guys, where I try to separate the art from the artist. I mean, the whole Chris Rock thing, it's fucked up, but like,
I mean, if you're gonna let what celebrities do in their personal life affect you, then you can't watch anything. They either have Trump derangement syndrome, they were on Epstein's island, or they have some other fuckery in their life. They're all degenerate scumbag. I mean, every now and then there's a diamond in the rough like Denzel Washington or Kurt Russell, but I mean they're like old school. They're from the old school acting thing where they keep their fucking opinions to themselves. Some of the younger people like Sydney Sweeney are pretty based, and I like her personally, but she's also kind of an idiot too, getting on social media talking about how she has to keep acting so she can have enough money, but then goes and buys a $15 million mansion. So I mean, if you're gonna let that affect, then you really don't. That's not even an opinion you should have. That's a dumbass opinion. If you're like, well, I hate Kevin Spacey because he goes after impressionable guys or whatever. Well, yeah, he does, but they were all of age, and guess what? So what? I don't like Joss Whedon because he's mean on his movie sets and made Charisma Carpenter cry. I don't care. It's the lesser of evils. You have to do something really, really bad for me to like just flat out not watch. In fact, the only person who's like movies like I won't watch are like Robin Williams, and that's just because he was such a great guy that it hurts my feelings to see him making me laugh and making me happy when I know he was suffering so much. So like, is Will a cuck, and did he do dumb shit like smack what's his name, Chris Rock at the Oscars a couple years ago? Yeah, he did, but I mean, really, that has nothing to do with this. If he comes back as Deadshot in the next Suicide Squad movie, I'll still watch it. If he makes a good movie, I'll watch it. Am I going to watch any of his pretentious Oscar bait films? No, I'm not, because I don't think of Will Smith like that. Like I don't care about, like, he can do those movies, but if he does stuff like this, the shoot 'em ups and things like that, I will watch it. But I mean, listen, I don't subscribe to that holier than thou. I can make fun of them in private and still go and enjoy, watching something. You're not going to steal away my entertainment by, trying to ride the high moral ground.
No, that's one thing watching this film. I never one time like thought about, I don't know, just because it's summer, it's action, it's comedy, no matter what. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence been playing these characters now for almost 30 fucking years. These two got a chemistry, they have a flow, and whatever happens, I never once watched this film and thought about him slapping Chris Rock. It doesn't change the character of Mike Lowry for me. That's how I got it. But yeah, I mean, do you think, so comedy, means I think the second one's still the funniest movie, but do you,
I will say, I think they don't have as much organic comedy that they had in the first two movies. A lot of the stuff that happened in the first two movies is, that's really funny, is improv, a lot by Martin, but Martin he would do it, as I recall, he would do it, and then it kind of would be infectious among the rest of them. Like, Joey Pants also has a big comedy background. People don't remember that, but he was a comedian once upon a time, and he would have great little one-liners like the whole, "Hey, Marcus, it's Mike. I'm I. How can we fuck up the captain's day?" That kind of stuff. And no, we're not going to reimburse you for your vehicle damage. That's why we drive police cars. So stuff like that. They don't have as much organic stuff. The stuff that they have is a little forced. And Martin is really he's really cranking his shit up to 11 in this one. I think that somebody watched the scene where he's accidentally high in
Bad Boys 2
off the ecstasy.
Oh my god.
And he was acting like a wacko, and they were like, "Hey, let's play on that, but let's just have him just do it through the whole movie." So yeah, no,
honestly, I got that vibe watching that shit.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking. They were just like, hey, let's have him be like existential and wacko through like the whole film, and that'll play off of they didn't have to do that. In Lethal Weapon 4, they didn't change Danny Glover into the crazy badass to make Mel Gibson's characters midlife crisis seem different. They just tacked it onto there, and they showed how they could interact. They didn't really need to do that. So it's kind of rookie screenwriting. But they did have the younger characters Vanessa Hudgens and the Ludwig guy, the chair guy.
Yeah.
They pick up the slack a little bit. Reggie has a baller scene. And I'm glad they didn't do something ridiculous like they had to go in and save Reggie. Reggie just basically saves the day halfway through the movie, and then they go ahead.
Oh, no, it's just for you guys. Yeah, remember here's part 2. Like he's showing Captain Howard the fucking the Morgan autopsy, and then Marcus on X.
They're taking
like,
the organs out. right there, you can. Yeah.
Pulling his shirt down.
They're
fucking idiots.
Yeah. This is basically Martin Lawrence the entire Bad Boys 4.
Yeah.
He's just really cranked up to 11. I don't know her name, but the new captain.
Oh, I keep forgetting her name. So yeah, she's in part.
She's Mike's ex from part 3. She's played by Paula Nunez. Boy, we are struggling with the names today, man. Paula Nunez, who plays Rita. She has nothing to do in this movie. I don't know why she's in this movie. Except, she's beautiful.
Exposition dump.
I mean, she does exposition and has like the one, main. But I mean, I really don't understand what her purpose is here. I mean, she's great to look at, but her and Mike have zero fucking chemistry. So
yeah, 100%. No, and like you're right, Adam. Like I said, I get where some people they get to that level where I can't watch a certain actor anymore, or listen to a certain song anymore. But it's like Wes was saying, Lord Toxic. I overall do agree with that. I can still go back and watch films by Kevin Spacey or Will Smith or it's. But some people can't.
I don't want to beat a dead horse on this topic, but I always challenge people, especially like in the group or something pops up or just someone in everyday life when they bring up something. Well, I don't like this guy because of this.
Yeah.
I always like, okay, tell me somebody that you do like. Oh, well, I like so-and-so. Oh, guess what they did? So, I'm just like, listen, if you're going to be on your high horse with one, you have to do it with everybody. Like me, who is the one person that I cannot stand in movies that I will not watch?
Like Toni Collette?
Toni Collette. Do you know why?
No idea.
No idea either. I have no idea why I don't like her. I'm completely transparent about that. I don't know why I don't like her. She is a good actress. She seems like a very nice lady for all I know. I don't have any dirt on her, but I don't fucking like her. If she shows up in a movie, I instantly shut the movie off. I will not watch her in anything just because I don't like her fucking face. So like, I am completely unfair with that. I have no reason for this. She just rubs me the wrong way. But
she is hot though, right here.
Oh, she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. But she does nothing. Like if you're gonna do the captain thing, if you're gonna be the captain, then you don't necessarily need to be the crusty older captain yelling at the two detectives, but you need to have some kind of a niche. And she has nothing. She's always just like her big thing is calling Mike Michael. Because that
came from part 3.
Right. And that's like the big like Michael. Oh, you said it's almost like she wants to like give him a little pat on the butt. And just for the record, they would not have a captain in charge of a detective that she used to bang. They would transfer him. That's how that stuff works, especially a female.
I wonder why she was casted for. Look right there.
Yeah, I wonder why. But her arc is like nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's like it has no teeth. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And there's and again, it's a Bad Boys movie. They're gonna have transparent characters, but I mean, I love the fact that they have the same actor playing Reggie. I love the fact that Reggie is now a gunnery sergeant in the Marines, and he is just a bad motherfucker. But he's still kind of goofy too. At the same time,
this running joke since the second film. Well, second film he's a kid, but even part 3, he's like this kind of like nerd, and he talks to Marcus like he's twice Marcus's size. Like, sir, how you doing? And he's just this kind of like geek. Like you hear about he's in the military, but you don't take him seriously. But there is guys like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. You can tell. Well, you can tell they're getting older, so they don't have as much action scenes. So younger actors like Mike's son and also Reggie have to pick up the slack. There is one scene about, what do you think, 80% into the movie where basically fucking Marcus and Mike on the run.
It's the third act for sure. Yeah.
But,
and they do the standard bad guy thing where they go after the family. So they send a bunch of cartel sicarios, I guess 15 of them, 14 or 15 of them to the house.
Yep. And that doesn't turn out good for them. Holy shit. That's arguably the best. And plus, that's also a running joke at the end. Remember with the barbecue and the chicken?
Yeah. Where they decide, you know what? We need to stop giving this guy shit. He killed 14 people. You know,
At one point when Mike's like, yo, he's like, I'm gonna make the potato salad, man. He's got a weird fucking look in his eyes, and the audience was rolling.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a great
Yeah,
scene.
so,
That scene's also all over TikTok,
yeah.
by the way.
Oh, I can imagine. So yeah, like I said, the only two ways I'll judge a Bad Boys film is comedy and action. The action, I would still think that, say, Michael Bay, you know, he stopped directing part 3 and part 4. You do see a quick Michael Bay cameo, which is pretty cool in both films. The action, you can still tell it's not Michael Bay directed, but they understand the franchise. I still think the second one has the best action out of the whole fucking franchise.
I think the second one is just the best one, period.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have to go through and think about it. But in terms of action, but also has the highest budget. So, but the action is it's still a good action franchise. It got some good fight scenes, comedy. These two still have it. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Marcus is still funny as fuck. And said I was, you know, in a theater with about 75% people and audience. Everybody was laughing pretty goddamn hard. It's just a buddy action comedy. That's all we can say about it. And so
it's a summer popcorn movie. It
really
is
because I often feel like people, and I'm not saying, you know, we're at the point where people nostalgia, but often, come on, dude, we grew up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Every summer had stupid buddy fucking cop action films, popcorn movies. That's all this one is. Transformers, fucking Bad Boys, Fast and the Furious. Simple as that, man. This is no different than the first 3 movies in a sense. It is a little bit heavier, like you said, because it's a continuation of part 3. Part 3 is heavier, but still Bad Boys is still comedy. It's not, this is nothing gonna break the genre. It's not breaking new ground. It's just still a buddy action film with 2 characters that are older. And that's all we can really say about the plot. Will there be a part 5? I do want to ask you for wrapping up because it's coming up on an hour. Going forward, I'm sure they will make one more depending on how this does. If they decide to make one more, for my money, I would say part 5 should be the end of Bad Boys because Will Smith is pushing 60 and top of Marcus keeps fucking wanting to retire. And like you said, at some point they can't be 60 years old and they're still fucking detectives. You know, being 30 years on the force, 40 years on the force. So
yeah, I wouldn't mind them, you know, having like opening up their own private detective agency and then like the characters from Ammo get kidnapped or killed and they go and look into that or something. Now, because I will say this, they are really, really good. Teresa Randall's health problems as Marcus's wife notwithstanding, they are really good about bringing back characters. They even brought back plot points from part 1 and part 2 in this. The whole cops raiding our dirty cops linking up with drug dealers and raiding the evidence locker in part 1, and then in part 2, the Jamaican voodoo posse that had all that ecstasy, and that's where Captain Howard stashed the evidence and things like that. So they're really, really good at that, which I appreciate. I don't know about you, but one of my biggest pet peeves in a series is when an actor gets swapped out. That's why. But you know, again, I get it. Teresa Randall is sick. I understand that. But the fact that they brought all these guys back and the stuff that they do is at least consistent with their characters. I do. They even brought bad guys back. They brought poor Fletcher back just to get killed, which is a shame because I did like Fletcher. That was unfortunate. But you know, they did that, and if they were to do that with part 5 and cap it off with like Martin and Will Smith having a detective agency as they're retired and kind of maybe have them being bored doing usual private detective shit and then turning it into like, hey, the whole strike team got wiped out. I need my bad boys to come back and deal with this. That could be something very interesting. In fact, I will write that screenplay for you, Michael Bay, and send that to you. Like, let me write that and send that idea to you. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, the Ammo team right here, this character on the right, Ray, he's one that's noticeably missing. There's no confirmation why he didn't come back for us, so we don't get to see, you know, basically these 3, but he's gone for some reason. We don't know why. Yeah, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I just said with the way the character and franchise is going, if they decide to make a 5th film, it's going to be either said Mike's son takes over, but at some point either Mike and Marcus would have to retire or one of them gets killed. And I would say that, come on, out of 2 of them, you would see Marcus eventually becoming either retired or a captain. Mike doesn't seem like he's the retiree type. He's got to I could see Mike getting killed.
But I could see Mike doing like the private detective or private security thing. I could see that. Like trying to hold on to that and do, do that to try to kind of keep his life, because he could afford to do that. You know, people only become private detectives if they can afford to, if they have some other source of income, because it's kind of feast. Because I could definitely see that. I could write that. I could seriously write that screenplay for them. I'm coming for you, Michael Bay. Give me a chance. Let me write it. But anyway, we're at the hour mark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I don't know what's in terms of storyline. I do appreciate the fact that part 3 made it more heavier. Captain Howard gets killed. Mike gets a son. Now Mike is married. And at this point, okay, they cleared the captain's name. What more can the bad boys do?
Yeah.
In terms of storyline. So I think that, you know, give them while the iron's still hot. We'll see how this does box office wise. And Will Smith's still young enough. You know, Martin Lawrence has a couple, you know, decent action scenes, but like the first 3 movies, it's just a couple okay scenes. He's there for the comic relief. Mike at some point is going to get too hard for Will Smith, and the character of Mike first starts getting too sad. Give him one more film, do a fucking epic send off, Blaze of Glory, and that's all I can really say about it, man. So
I hear
there you go. But questions,
I'll let you go first.
You got them. Yeah, I mean, did I like this film? No, I agree with you that because we talked about it before I went to go see this. I did like this better than part 3. I think it's not as heavy, but better action, better comedy. And, you know, I think it does fit into the Bad Boys franchise. And I'll just say it one last time. If you don't like 1, 2, and 3, guys, skip this movie. Simple as that. It's no better or worse than the first 3 movies. Part 2 probably is the best one, but I did enjoy it. And like we said, it's a fucking summer popcorn movie. If it comes on digital, sit back, have a beer, and just watch stupid action. And the plot is good enough where I could get into it, but the characters, you know, yeah, there's some characters that, you know, like you said, his the new captain, she's kind of forgettable. Having Better Call Saul's Rhea come in, and not the best casting choice, but Marcus and Mike, they're still the heart and soul of this franchise. So I did enjoy it. Is it my favorite action film? Fuck no. It's serviceable. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It's okay.
All right. Would you recommend it?
Only if you liked part 1, 2, and 3, and if you aren't. I mean, if you like action films, if you wanted to say catch a matinee or something, catch a matinee and just watch a stupid action movie. That's it. Some people have called this the fast food of action. You know, it's like you get a fucking burger, like a Big Mac or a Whopper, you eat it, you're hungry, you kind of forget about it an hour later. But I do think if you did have a marathon, if you watched all 4 films, it could be a fun, stupid Saturday with a bunch of buddies, or my kid would sit back and just watch popcorn movies. But I only recommend it if you want an action comedy. That's all it is. It's not complicated. It's not a great film, but it's damn sure not terrible. And I know it's 2024, but we keep mentioning like terms like woke and political correctness and shit like that. Boy, this film has no non-binary characters. There's no female girl bosses. There's nothing.
True.
We have two action male leads. It does have enough complexity with the characters that, you know, I did appreciate it. But people keep complaining, guys. Hey, you know, we miss action. We miss these non-woke movies. You know, fucking single thing woke about all four of these films.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I recommend it only if you like part 1, 2, and 3. If you want to skip it, I totally understand. Trust me.
Should you spend your hard-earned money on this, Blue Collar Loser?
I mean, on a Friday night, if you had like a bunch of buddies, this is a guy's film. Come on, call it what it is. My sister may like it, but I would say for most people, it's wait for streaming. You know, but for someone like me who did like the franchise, if I'm a fan of the franchise, I will go out on a Saturday and see it. But yeah, most people only save your money if you don't like part 1, 2, and 3. It's just that's the issue we have now, West, with franchises. It's like I thought Fast 10 was stupid fun, but I'm not gonna tell you to go blow $20 on fucking Fast 10 if you hated Fast 1 through 9.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's more true than it's not true. So I'm going to caveat onto what you said. Like, did I like it? Yeah, I liked it. I liked it better than 3. I think I put it in the chat. You know, my Bad Boys ranking go. Part 2 is my favorite. Part 1 is my second favorite. This one, number 4, is my third favorite, ironically, and number 3 is probably my least favorite of it. But I didn't hate any of them as far as that goes. So yeah, I liked it. I've liked all of them to a degree. I really, really like part 2. None of the other ones I think can come close to it. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you get a chance to see it. If you've got some time, it's a good date movie. It's a good, you know, like I think that women and men would love it. It's maybe a little too raunchy to take younger kids, but if they have kids like me and you, we have kids that are of upper
Yeah.
teenage,
I mean,
high school age.
For a teenage boy, this is great. My kid
Sure.
loves this kind. Let's say he loved part 1, 2, and 3. It's a teenage boy film. Come on, because
Yeah.
when 95 came out, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Oh yeah, so was I. Should you spend your hard-earned money? I wouldn't suggest that. Spending $30, $35 last night,
Yeah.
on popcorn, a slushie, and a ticket, because I do not have the Regal Unlimited app, but I probably should look into getting it, and I probably will on your recommendation, Blue Collar. But that aside, even with my Regal app and my military discount, I still spent $35, and I don't know, man, that's $35 I kind of prefer that I wouldn't have spent. Now, that being said, obviously I have a review to do with you, so I try to keep this show as consistent as possible. I mean, it's been almost about a year, and we've done 14 reviews. We try to do like at least one a month, so that's important to me. It's important to you. For me, it was worth it in that way. But for Joe Citizen going and spending money, if you don't have a date and you're just by yourself, you probably should just wait for streaming. There you go.
That's fair. Yeah, I
of
agree with
course,
you.
if you have the Regal Unlimited app, you could go see it basically for free. So I would definitely recommend that. But yeah, it's definitely something that you would be no worse off. Is it nice to be in a theater with a bunch of people who are chuckling at stuff? Sure, but I mean, me personally, I laughed at a lot more stuff than other people in the theater laughed, and I like, for instance, I laughed at the prison fight scene, just because it was so brutal and over the top, and no one else was laughing at that, and they probably were like looking at me like, geez, this guy's a psycho. Like, why is he laughing at that? But other than that, yeah, it's definitely, I would save your money and wait for streaming for sure.
Okay. And I'm just looking at stats right now. I mean, Bad Boys for Life, according to me, I know people say don't look at Rotten Tomatoes, but still they have critics and user score. I mean, and hey, like people, at least the fans, it did a shit ton of money too, like 96%. That's 25,000 ratings, dude.
Yeah, they were very lucky that they
yes,
they beat out the COVID pandemic.
I mean, so far, I mean, and like anything, what our opinion, anyone watching your opinion, all studios care about is box office, guys. If it bombs, no one's gonna give a fuck. But this could be the start of a good summer. We have Deadpool coming out in July, but maybe Bad Boys 4 will do the most money. I mean, who knows? Is Bad Boys gonna be the film? Because we've talked about all year long with other people that cinemas are not doing good. Maybe this summer between this and Deadpool could get something bumped up again. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah. Let's see. So here we go, buddy. So our tier system, remember, we have top shelf whiskey, middle shelf whiskey, and so what's bottom shelf again? You're a bartender.
The bottom shelf would be like the generic, like the generic house brand, like rot gut type stuff. Like that's like, like instead of Smirnoff, it's Volkov vodka or something like that. Like, it's the stuff that's like the rot gut, the cheap shit that you can get for like, $1 shots and $2 drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, my ranking system, my friend, is that it's in twofold. For most people, the average moviegoer and anybody watching, if you want a good movie, this movie's bottom shelf. It's not a great film, not complicated characters. It's just you could say a bad movie, as much as to me, Godzilla vs. Kong is a bad film. However, I will say, as a fan of the Bad Boys franchise, I do think that for me, this is top shelf because again, you could watch 1, 2, and 3, and 4. This is still a good fourth entry into the franchise. So I do think it's a good Bad Boys film, but it's like not really a good film on its own. So I could see people calling this a bottom shelf movie, which I wouldn't fight you now. Just like I said, Godzilla vs. Kong 2 is a fucking horrible movie. It is. It's a good Godzilla vs. Kong movie though.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'd say for me, it's in the middle in a sense as a reviewer. I told my friend walking out, and I was texting you, dude, he loves all 3 Bad Boy movies. He'll watch them on repeat. For him, this movie's a must see. Most people skip it. So I'll put it right in the middle. It's still a good action comedy, but not a complicated storyline and not a great film. It's just good for what it is. And so aren't all 3 movies. They're not memorable, but they're not terrible, but they're not great. They're just right there. They're serviceable.
Okay, serviceable. I get you. All right, fair enough. I am also going to agree with you once again and say middle shelf is definitely where it's at. I had a good time. It's not one of the movies. I didn't fall asleep during it. I didn't, which you know me, that's very difficult. For some reason, those chairs just make me sleepy.
You're like,
I didn't fall.
Sammy repeat, like,
Yeah, I didn't fall asleep during it. I was engaged through the whole movie. You know, the plot points and the detractions I did list here. They weren't serious enough for me to not enjoy it. I think that the kid playing Mike's illegitimate son, he might have a really good career ahead of him. To me, he was one of the best parts in the movie. I could see them doing, you know, they attempted a spinoff with Marcus's sister and with the chick from Dark Angel, Jessica Alba. They attempted that, calling it was a Netflix TV series called LA's Finest. It wasn't bad, but I could definitely see them doing a spinoff show with the kids from Ammo, and maybe they get like maybe Marcus becomes the captain. That is something that could be really well done, where he's yelling at the kids, and then Mike makes because he's too big of a movie star, he makes the occasional cameo or something like that. I could definitely see that being a thing. All of the kids playing the younger cops and Mike's son are all good characters. I could definitely make that. Hell, I could write that screenplay. So yeah, it was enjoyable for what it was. It's definitely not something I would rush right back out and see. I didn't mind paying for it for this review, but I definitely would have preferred to have waited for streaming. But yeah, it's definitely middle shelf. I do miss the great one-liners of the first two movies. Now I've watched these part 3 and part 4 within a matter of like a day and a half of each other. I can't tell you any one-liners from that movie that stick out in my mind, and that's crazy because the first two movies I could rattle off at least a dozen one-liners from both of those films. But in this one, I really, these two, 3 and 4, I definitely cannot. So they definitely need some better writing in this, but it's a summer popcorn flick, and it's definitely middle of the road, middle shelf. So that's my review. Oh, looks like we got a little audio problem with Blue Collar. You are not coming through.
There? Sorry.
There you are.
Nice. No, I was just going to say before we head out, guys, so this is still new, but, it's only 500 ratings. But, of course, critics don't really like it. Audience, 97%, but that's also 500 ratings. I'll check this next week, but I am curious to see. I still love going to the theaters. I still like action comedies. I still hoping. I like summer blockbusters. I don't see this beating Deadpool 3 by any fucking means, but I wouldn't mind seeing one more. I wouldn't mind seeing these guys say goodbye because I overall did have fun with the franchise.
Good.
Yeah. So thanks. I guess we had 1.20 people watching because we're on Twitter and YouTube. Thanks everybody. I know next we definitely are going to plan our next one. Myself and Lord Toxic do want to see this new Bike Riders movie.
I do want to see that. Yes. I think that could be. I also want to see the upcoming what is the name of the Batista movie?
Oh, I gotta find
where he accidentally puts a hit on himself.
Something killer something. Look it up in a minute.
I do want to see that. That looked like a really good movie. Of course, Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be great. Yeah. The Venom movie, and I've just so you understand, I've not seen any of the Venom movies.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've not. But this new Venom movie does look really good to me.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm seeing lots of previews of. I think this is going to be a pretty good summer.
Yeah. So yeah. Next time we go live, will be for the Bike Riders, and yeah, we'll try to get Deadpool going. But this is our 2 weeks. This comes out, and I'm curious. You got Tom Hardy, you have the Austin Butler, and these guys. Tom Hardy. I still think, man, for some people, you always think of Bane, but man, Tom Hardy has got a very diverse casting.
Yes.
Call. I mean, this guy's played people. He's done so much more than just Bane, and he can his accents.
Yeah.
This guy can go in and out of accents. So
he has
easily.
A lot of range. He has a lot of range.
Does. And I'm curious what a modern. And again, this is another male-led movie. It's kind of it's a modern day Sons of Anarchy. Maybe I don't know what to expect, but we'll see.
Mm.
All right, buddy. Hey, anybody dumb enough to watch us talk for an hour? Thanks ahead of time, but we'll see you for. The Bike Riders, and of course we'll be back on our lounge Tuesday. We're watching Adaptation.
We're watching Adaptation, and please jump over to Stupenzo's channel to watch us do our weekly
Tales of the
roundup
Dark Side.
tomorrow night, Tales from the Dork
Yeah.
Side on Stupenzo. And if you would be so benevolent and check out my new review of book versus film, Consider the Source, I'll be talking about Mystic River.
Okay, I'll start pulling. I'll start ahead of time next time as we plan more stuff out. I'm not used to having a channel, that's why. But
Yeah, it's okay.
No, you got
It's
stuff.
okay.
All right,
It's
guys.
still not done. It'll be out later tonight, early
Yeah.
tomorrow.
All right, cool. Thanks everybody, Adam, for stopping by, Jay, and we'll see you next time. And all right,
Alicia, all of you guys, thank you.
cool.